Shri Shivkumar Udasi ji.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak on demand for grants in commerce and industries, financial year 22-23. And I also thank my party for giving me this opportunity to speak on this subject. But before going to the subject, Madam, I want to sincerely thank Shri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister of India, and Shri Dr. Jaishankar ji, Honorable Minister of External Affairs, for bringing back more than 22,000 citizens safely from war-struck Ukraine. And also, a student from my parliamentary constituency, Haveri, Mr. Naveen Shekarappa, who was studying in Kharkiv, unfortunately lost his life. We were able to bring the mortal remains of Naveen Shekarappa back home because of the intervention and relentless efforts of Shri Narendra Modi ji and Dr. Jaishankar ji. And I thank them on behalf of the family of Naveen Shekarappa for helping them make peace with this terrible loss, Madam. Madam, coming to the subject, we all know the importance of trade and commerce in the development of the nation or the nation building. During the ancient times, India was the leading exporter of sugar, textiles, silk, precious stones, and India was also main exporter of the spices to the West. The prosperity of Indian trade took a backseat with the starting of the Industrial Revolution in the West and colonization of India. The underlying theory of post-independence was that the market could not be trusted to produce good social outcomes. So the government, in its wisdom, must determine where the country's scarce resource should be deployed and what exactly should be produced, in what location and by whom. In other words, the people would be best served when they had no right to decide what to produce and no right to decide what to consume. That was all to be left to the government. The business were hamstrung by a million controls imposed in the name of socialism. Many were worried that imperial foreign rule would return in the guise of economic domination through trade and investment. The number of poor people went on increasing in this era of post-independence. The policies of the Congress rule in the name of the poor ended up impoverishing the poor. Later, the UPA government, before the election of our government, was equally disastrous for the commerce and trade. It was infected with corruption and had a policy paralysis in decision making. The achievement of this government, that was of UPA government, was to collapse the public-private partnership model for infrastructure, huge bank losses, and loss of investment projects for the country, and even the SEZ. Even in the SEZ. So, now I will come to the subject, the growth under the Modi ji, our government. Our government, led by Narendra Modi ji, has tackled some of the worst challenges through reforms and transparent governance. For example, today itself, Honorable Prime Minister has quoted, I quote, India set an ambitious target of $400 billion of goods exports and achieves this target for the first time ever. I congratulate our farmers, weavers, MSMEs, manufacturers, exporters for this success. This is key milestone in our Atmanirbhar Bharat journey, local goes global. So, on behalf of the country, I congratulate Honorable Prime Minister and also the Ministry of Commerce for having this endeavor in this day when I was talking here on the demand for grants and commerce. So our commitment to deep economic reforms is a major reason that makes it an attractive business and investment destination, Madam. We are committed to being a trusted partner in global supply chain system. Our government has made avenues for free trade agreements with many countries. There was a time in India was known for license Raj. Today we have promoted ease of doing business and our ranking has significantly improved from 142 in 2014 to 63 in 2020. Because of our efforts to support the startup ecosystem, today we have the third largest unicorns in the world. Self-reliant, that is Atmanirbhar economy, is equally important to absorb the shocks generated by the ever-changing global scenario. Our Make in India program is a great success, and production-linked incentive schemes worth $26 billion have been implemented in 14 sectors. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code has, since its enactment in 2016, helped to recover 2.5 trillion rupees from corporate defaulters. The government subsequently recapitalized banks and empowered the NCLT. Post-COVID, our government is unlocking infrastructure assets through its asset monetization program, which will release substantial revenues. India's national infrastructure pipeline at $1.5 trillion is even more ambitious than what is being undertaken in the US. The NIP envisages infrastructure investment of rupees 111 lakh crores over 5 years, financial year 2020 to 2025. The government's commitment to scale up infrastructure investment despite fiscal pressures reflects the priority accorded to the infrastructure sector, which is vital for overall economic growth and recovery due to its backward linkages in spurring core sector demand. It also holds the maximum potential for employment elasticity. Growth in commerce needs stability, madam. The decision taken by our government to get rid of retrospective taxation shows our commitment, shows the consistency in the policies. India has gone from being slow-growing country to one of the fastest-growing major economies in the world in today. What used to be a poor country now has the 5th largest GDP in the world. So India is currently known as one of the most important players in the global economic landscape. Our trade policies, reforms undertaken by Modi's government, and our inherent strengths have attributed to India's standing as one of the most sought-after destination for foreign investments in the world. Also, technological infrastructure development undertaken by our government will contribute greatly for the growth of commerce in years to come. The pandemic and the war in Ukraine have also caused a setback in the short-term goals of our government, but we are on track to achieve the long-term vision of economic prosperity of our country. Now, madam, I'll come to the export, which was, as I said, 400 billion was exported in this financial year. For that, the reason behind was Honorable Prime Minister had said we should have a $5 trillion economy. So, if our exports of goods and services will have to be at least $1 trillion each. If you have $1 trillion of goods exported and services of $1 trillion export, then we can have the ideally it's 20% of the total $5 trillion economy, because we need to support our import of oil, and therefore our exports will have to really go up by leaps and bounds so that we can contribute to finance our imports, strengthen the rupee in the days to come. So, how do we achieve this? To achieve this, ma'am, so to achieve this, madam, we should take a leverage, our edge, EDGE, to give us an edge in the global competition. What is EDGE? E for economies of scale, D for demographic of dividend, G for good governance, and E for encourage innovation in the industry. So, government through its various bold reforms has provided enabling ecosystem for India to make a mark in the global manufacturing landscape, and it has been the quality, it should be the quality and the productivity will be the hallmark of the India's future manufacturing ecosystem, madam. So, in that angle, government has a 3-point call to action for the industry. Explore various FTA free trade agreement provisions and use them to its full potential. Take active part in existing negotiations. FTAs are two-way traffic. We have to be demanders and also accommodate their demands. And second, through action, instill a feeling of pride in our citizens that our products are at par or even better than the global products. Make the difference visible. Gone are the days when imported meant better. Made in India mark should compete with the global brands in every category. The third is focus on development of aspirational districts and tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Like Godda, like Haveri, Kalburgi, Yadgir. So, aspirational district and tier 2 and tier 3 cities will be the future of the export hubs. And furthermore, madam, to target reach करने के लिए $1 trillion in the goods and $1 trillion in services by 2027. What are the initiatives the government has taken? And how this target of 400 billion was achieved? It was because the Prime Minister took interest in the ministry, and for monthly monitoring of achievement of targets and an export monitoring desk under Statistics Division of DGFT has been set up. The disaggregated targets enable tight monitoring by country, by region, by mission, by products, by commodity groups, by export promotion councils. And the Prime Minister addressed the ambassadors, high commissioners, commercial missions, line ministries, departments, states, UTs and EPCs, commodity boards, authorities, industry trade association, etc. on 6th August 21, and he said, local goes global, make in India for the world for achieving the target of this $1 trillion economy. The target has been already set. So in the coming days, both the service and the goods, which has been merchandise export, now it is $400 billion. In service sector, it is around $250 billion, madam, which is going to reach $1 trillion each in the coming 2027, madam. For example, how the challenge was converted into opportunity, madam. I'd like to quote this. We all witnessed turmoil due to COVID-19 pandemic, which emerged as the biggest threat to economic growth. Even Indian economy has witnessed sharp contraction of 24.4% in Q1 and 7.3% in Q2 of financial year 2021, ma'am. To convert that pandemic-related challenges into opportunity, a series of measures have been taken by this government to improve the economic situation, including inter alia announcement of the Atmanirbhar package, amounting to the tune of almost 30 lakh crores. Targeted interventions were made to support the economy and the livelihood. Moreover, the pace of structural reforms was expedited. The major reforms undertaken under Atmanirbhar package include credit guarantee for MSME loans, sectoral structure reforms, policy and strategic disinvestment of CPSEs, reforms in public procurement, setting up empowered group of secretaries and project development cells for facilitating investment and reduction in compliance burden, and single window system for clearances. These measures, in addition to the structural reforms taken up, madam, have assisted the economy in its early revival. India, which was not producing N95, PPE kits, ventilators, etc., prior to corona pandemic, has started producing the same and even catering to the world markets and became self-reliant. Government has started vaccination drive in January 2021 and indigenously developed Covaxin vaccine in its fight against COVID pandemic. As on date, more than 143 crores doses have already been administered in India. This is not only saved the lives of people, but also set momentum for early recovery of the economy. Economy has started showing sign of recovery with GDP growth rebounding to 20.1% in Q1, 8.4% in Q2 of 21-22. Several high-frequency indicators like e-way bills, railway freight, port traffic, GST collections, and power consumption have demonstrated a V-shaped recovery in the economy, ma'am. So, in this angle, even the trends in the growth of 8 core industries, the index of 8 core industries, ICI measures the performance of 8 core industries, madam. Coal, crude oil, natural gas, petroleum refinery products, fertilizers, steel, cement, and the electricity. The industries included in the ICI comprise 40.27% weightage in the index of the IIP. During 2021, ICI growth rate was minus 6.4% compared to average growth rate of 3.0% during the last 3 years. The rate of growth has been robust during the current financial year from April to October in 21-22, that is 15.1%. Out of 8 core sectors, 6 of them have shown double-digit growth, with cement and steel sectors leading the pack with the growth rates at 33.6 and 28.6% respectively. Madam, this is what our government is doing. In regard to production-linked incentive schemes, madam, keeping in view of the India's vision becoming Atmanirbhar and to enhance India's manufacturing capabilities, exports and outlay of 1,97,000 crores has been announced in the Union Budget 21-22 for PLA schemes for 14 key sector manufacturing starting from fiscal year 21-22. These sectors, I don't want to quote them all, but the guidelines for all PLA schemes have been issued and applications have also been received under majority of these schemes. The DP IIT has been doing overall coordination for PLA schemes. It is the nodal department for PLA scheme for white goods, air conditioners and LED lights, which has an outlay of 6,238 crores. These scheme guidelines were published on 4th June 2021. 42 applicants with committed investment of 4,614 crores have been provisionally selected as beneficiaries under PLI scheme. The selected applicants include 26 for air conditioner manufacturing and 3,898 crores and 16 for LED light manufacturing with an investment of 716 crores, madam. So, Startup India program, madam. This is the initiative which was launched by Prime Minister on 16 January 2016 as a flagship initiative of Government of India. The initiative was intended to build a stronger ecosystem for nurturing India's startup culture, and that would further drive our economic growth, support entrepreneurship, and enable large-scale employment opportunities. With over 60,000 recognized startups, India has transferred into third largest startup ecosystem, supplementing employability as well as enhancing our self-reliance. Startup India's role has been vital in nurturing entrepreneurship beyond Tier 1 cities. The regional growth through efforts of state and union territories has created national ecosystem to thrust our economic goals. While 55% of the recognized startups are from Tier 1 cities, 45% of them are Tier 2 and Tier 3 respectively, and 45% of the startups are represented by women entrepreneurs. So this shows the roots of startups have grown deep into the country. So coming back to ease of doing, madam. India has reported meteoric improvements in the ease of doing business. From 142nd rank to 2014 to 63rd rank in Doing Business 2020 report containing data as of May 2019. India is ranked first among South Asian countries as compared to its 6th position in 2014. World Bank's Doing Business report, DBR, has featured India in the top 10 improvers list consistently over the last 3 years. Due to its sustained reform program, in DBR 2020, India has improved its rank in 7 out of 10 indicators and moved closer to international best practices. I'll give 1 or 2 examples how the indicators have gone up. Dealing with the construction permits, madam. Online building permission system, OBPS, introduced by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, is a single window for obtaining building permissions, has been implemented for granting construction permits in Mumbai and Delhi. As on 1st April 2021, OBPS has been implemented in 2,465 ULBs across the countries. And getting electricity. The procedure to obtain new commercial electricity connection in Delhi and Mumbai have been reduced to 2 from 7. It was earlier in 2021, it has come to 2 days, whereas it used to be 7 in 2015. Time reduced to 15 days for connections with a right-of-way permission from 105 days. पहले It used to be 105 days. Now it has come to 15 days. This is what ease of doing business means. And registering the property. Digitized land property records of last 30 years to be accessed 24/7 online through integrated registration property portals of respective states, Maharashtra and Delhi. These portals provide comprehensive functional electronic database for checking encumbrances. So even the getting credit and protecting the minority investors, paying taxes, trading across the borders, enforcing the contract, resolving the insolvency. So these are all the ease of doing which has been done from our government, madam. And furthermore, and also, madam, trade infrastructure for export scheme. Trade infrastructure for export scheme TIES is being implemented from financial year 2017-18 till financial year 25 to 26 with the objective of assisting central and state government agencies for creation of appropriate infrastructure for growth of exports. It includes infrastructure projects with overwhelming export linkage like the border huts, land customs stations, quality testing and certification labs for exports, trade promotion centers, etc. So even the ECGC provides the cost-effective export credit insurance on short-term and medium-term and long-term basis and trade-related services to exporters and banks to meet the growing needs of Indian export market and thereby assist exports from India. The government of India had approved a capital infusion of 2,000 crores into ECGC over a period of 3 years from 17-18 to 19-20 to support more exports to emerging and challenging markets like Africa, Latin America and Asian countries. The enhanced capital enabled ECGC support to export credit worth more than 26 lakh crores. More than 85% of the customers benefit by the ECGC covers all small exporters, madam. And now I'll come to the SEZ issue, madam.
बोलिए
2 minutes. The SEZ, in order to provide an edge over domestic tariff areas, to attract investments and ensure favorable balance of trade of the country, the SEZ units are benefited through financial incentives and fiscal relaxations. Hence, the levying of minimum alternative tax and introduction of the sunset clause that would adversely affect the competitive advantages of the SEZ units in gaining global investments. So, our government, which has been recommended by Baba Kalyani Committee's report, government is ensuring the continuation of the fiscal benefits and extension of the sunset clause to retain the competence of SEZ units, and it is also going to examine the prospects of inclusion of SEZs into ambit of RODTEP scheme. So we also have a fact that the new legislation which is going to replace the extant SEZ Act 2005 is being brought in to give impetus to the development and the growth of the SEZs in the country. Revenue foregone. नहीं SEZ के लिए revenue foregone was to the tune of more than 2 lakh crores, madam. In the अंत में, I would like to only say here, there is a saying, madam, a politician is a one who is worried about his next 5 years next 5 years because he has to face the elections. But a visionary is a one who is worried about the next generation. Modi ji, according to me, is a socio-economic, political, cultural scientist and ambassador who has studied behavioral psychology at micro and minute level by his experience as a Gujarat chief minister and as a prime minister of this country has 7 years. It has made a lot of difference in this country, which is evident in the growth of all sectors in this country. He understands the aspiration of the people of this country in the changing world scenario and building an India in which being a citizen of India is a matter of right. With these words, I conclude my speech. Thank you very much.
बहुत अच्छा